Good morning, Bobcat family. Happy Monday and happy November. On behalf of the ASUCM presidential agenda, we start off a new month with raging stakes and new challenges as we get closer to Election Day and continue serving our constituents with greater cause until the very end. Speaking of Election Day, this is a friendly reminder to all of our fellow Bobcats and those who haven't voted yet that we have one day left before the expensive US election comes to an end. The Meza Torres Administration will continue to exercise their influence towards the Bobcat community through student advocacy, equity, and trust at no cost. With that being said, I present to you the following highlights for our first week of November straight from the office of ASUCM. Dating back since the last ASUCM Senate meeting held on October 28, 2020, the mood over the resolution of endorsing the approval on Proposition 16, introduced by ASUCM External Vice President Jose Lopez, was not quite cheerful. Unfortunately, President Meza Torres had to dismiss herself in the first half of the Senate meeting due to health reasons I cannot disclose. The next day, the president was advised about the polarized climate the Senate has invoked within the discussions to review this major piece of legislation. Issues involving racial discrimination and affirmative action played at the center stage of the formal debate. Although sentiments for and against the resolution were expressed at the very least, it is important for the role of the Meza Torres administration to govern for and by the undergraduate student community. What was unacceptable is to spark partisan favoritism against one another, which in return may affect the credibility of their performance eventually, if this continues. The Senate has received backlash from a few members of the public who powerfully demanded to negotiate together and set the ethical standards on how to have a fair discussion on controversial issues. I can assure you that cases like these rarely happen and they are easily settled to common ground. Let's remember that our top priorities of the Meza Torres administration is to listen, engage, and communicate effectively with our students to establish a more perfect union and a safe community. In the end, a peaceful transition to a compromise has extinguished the flames of frustration and uncertainty. Thus, the bill intact was passed. As Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs Charles Nias said in the latest campus announcements newsletter, quote, every member of our community can and should exercise the free speech rights that are so fundamental to our democratic society. End quote. On the bright side, our ACCM advisor Tawana Parks helped us engage in several informal conversations about updating our goals for the 2020-2021 school year. For instance, we discussed what the primary purpose/mission of ACCM be this year. The following top 5 pillars were introduced in the table: A. Funding, B. Advocacy, C. Academic support, D. Activities/events/initiatives, and E. Policy and governance. From the final vote, advocacy became our number one priority. On that same day, ACCM was notified by the Division of Student Affairs, who lately announced the passing of a fellow Bobcat named Carolina Sanchez, a sophomore political science major. She has served in Dance Coalition and College Democrats as an active pioneer in student involvement. Her professors and peers weighed in on this grievous matter, sharing their cultural legacy she has left into this campus. Moreover, Carolina planned to achieve a groundbreaking record in her career pathway as a health policy expert, who will join millions of healthcare workers in the fight for free access to healthcare. In honor of her contribution, ACCM would like to express condolences to her family, friends, and loved ones. On October 29, 2020, the Meza Torres administration held its voter information and propositions town hall. Back then, we were 5 days before the 2020 election, and President Meza Torres knew that even for her, this moment will prove to be useful to the students who haven't yet completed their ballot. This astounding learning experience helps some students decide on which propositions to vote on, given the fiscal context and its pros and cons. On October 31st, 2020, the day of Halloween, the ACCM Campus Activities Board hosted its annual Treats and Beats once again, with guest star Steve Aoki dressed up as a Teletubby as his Halloween costume. Though the event itself was held virtually, still, hundreds of UC Merced students tuned in, reaching its highest peak of student turnout we have never seen before. In honor to this remarkable tradition of treats and beats, ACCM would like to send a warm thank you to our former ACCM Director of Student Activities Ish Verduzco, who served from 2013 to 2014, and set new president and proposing the first official large-scale carnival, now becoming a tradition for decades to come. Most importantly, ACCM is proud to congratulate this year's CAP team, and especially this year's cabbies, Jorge Cruz and Julianne Clear, for hosting the incredible show and mobilizing hundreds of students and keeping the vibe going with Steve Aoki. From its pre-entertainment show, Tim Burton-themed contest, house party with Steve Aoki, to a meet and greet special, we hope that he had lots of fun. Finally, the Meza Torres Administration will like to encourage everyone to keep grinding on your coursework, prepare for the second wave of midterm season happening soon, and stay safe from the chaotic political turmoil that we are about to see in election season. For further commentary and release statements regarding ASUCM activities and affairs, as ASUCM will be conducting virtual office hours by using Merced Zoom. You can find the Zoom link in the ASUCM webpage. Without further ado, I will now take questions, comments, concerns.